You are inside the Hall of Mirrors. Join me, Greg Sisko, as I share unusual UFO stories which are inspired by Leonard Stringfield. Many of these stories come from Stringfield's extensive diaries, over 12,000 pages, which are available at the Aquarius Library on MUFON.com. Leonard Stringfield was a leading UFO researcher in the 1970s and 80s, and in many cases, his work echoes the claims made by today's whistleblowers. Check it out. Listener, and hopefully you'll find what we tell you a little interesting. So today's episode is going to be about an unnamed newspaper article from May 15, 1977. I got this out of one of the Stringfield diaries. Basically, it says, Carter may lift the lid on UFOs. This is from May 15, 1977. The rumor is that before 1977 is out, the U.S. government may make what are described as unsettling, quotes, unsettling disclosures about UFOs, which are unidentified flying objects. And where that comes from is U.S. News and World Report article from April of 1977, and specifically in the section called Washington Whispers. And this is a section of the U.S. News and World Report where insiders would give, I don't know, maybe classified information or information that wasn't necessarily intended for public release. That would be what would be in Washington Whispers. And this Washington Whispers second paragraph is, before the year is out, the government, perhaps the president, is expected to make what are described as unsettling disclosures, as we said before, about UFOs and unidentified flying objects. It goes on to say that such revelations are based on information from the CIA, would be a reversal of official policy that in the past has been downgraded UFO incidents, as famously Project Blue Book was definitely a downgraded UFO investigation. But yeah, they had previously downgraded UFO incidents in general. And turns out from further reading in the Stringfield libraries, in the diaries, Stringfield Diary, this information was given to Leonard Stringfield by Ground Saucer Watch's Bill Spalding. Ground Saucer Watch was a pretty prominent organization in the 70s, and it's Bill Spalding let Leonard Stringfield know to look in Washington Whispers, and he claimed that the source of the information in this paragraph was the presidential press secretary, Jody Powell, Carter's presidential press secretary. So there you go. I think he got in a little bit of hot water about that. But yeah, if you look at the headline here, Who's Running America? That's even kind of like a current deal today, regardless of which side of the fence you're on in politics. It seems like we're always interested in who is running America. But what I thought was interesting about this article is the information came from the CIA. And if you were one of the ones who's watched Age of Disclosure, you're hearing on Amazon Prime, the new documentary, they say that the Legacy program has the CIA at the very top. Just below the CIA is Department of Energy, the military contractors, and the U.S. Air Force. So that's kind of interesting that the CIA is mentioned here when they have famously denied involvement in UFOs officially, publicly. So maybe the reason is because they are actually running the show. And Majestic 12, I always thought was the main board of directors of the Legacy program, if you will, and the CIA. So it turns out another interesting thing is the Robertson panel in the early 1950s was a study very similar to the Colorado University study with Edward Condon as the head, the famous Condon report, but that was in the late 60s. In the early 1950s, had the Robertson panel, which was a similar type of study where at the time J. Allen Hynek and Edward Ruppelt were excited at the opportunity to show the CIA and the scientists what they had regarding UFOs, and to try to get serious scientists, real scientists, to study UFOs. It turns out that Robertson panel did not really go that way. They had the opposite conclusion, where basically it was the act of reporting UFO sightings that was the real problem, not the UFO sightings themselves. And everybody has always speculated that the Robertson panel put in place a seeding of UFO information that they wanted the American public and possibly the world to know about. So Star Trek, Star Wars, all these science fiction programs, you always hear at some points murmurings that, well, that was really a seeding by the CIA from the Robertson panel fallout, that kind of information would make it on the American TV, and trying to get us ready for the disclosure that it appears is never going to happen, because we're talking about this exact thing today with Age of Disclosure. You're hearing that, maybe the president will go up and make a statement, and he may. It came out in Age of Disclosure, I believe it was, that there were other presidential administrations have studied the topic of whether to tell the public the truth. So there's always this truth that has to come out about UFOs. Somehow there's a truth, an unspoken truth that is basically sitting there that the public doesn't really know. So the conclusion was, at the time, the decision was made that just like you hear here in the Washington Whispers, they were unsettling disclosures, and there would be a catastrophic result to the American public if the truth were to come out. So no one really remembers the Washington Whispers article, I don't think. I haven't really heard about it before. And the fact that the president was expected to make the disclosure about UFOs in 1977. You always heard that President Carter was convinced to not disclose the UFO information, even though he, along with many other presidents, on the campaign trail said that if I become president, I'm going to let you know what's going on regarding UFOs. The current president was saying that about the drones in New Jersey a couple years ago, and I'm going to claim that we have not been told the truth on that, but that is perhaps the topic of another video. So that is it for this episode of Hall of Mirrors. I'll see you on the next video, everybody. Take care.